Welcome to the second Jiu Jitsu Oracle OP. What is the OP? It's the Oracle poll. We have a committee of 4 knowledgeable people giving you who we think is hot in the world of grappling, who's at the top of the scene, who deserves to be watched, who's bringing the most to the sport. We did our first list. I'm Ross, that's Callum, we're 2 of the committee. Callum, can you remember the first list off the top of your head? There were 6 people on it.
I think it was Nicky Rod 1, Andrew Tackett 2,
Kenta.
3, Victor Hugo was on there somewhere.
Yeah, Craig Jones 4, Victor Hugo 5, and then
6th man, Helena.
Helena Cravar. Right. So what we're going to do is, in between events that capture our attention, we're going to come and tell you who is staying on the list, who's moving up, who's moving down. There are various events happening in grappling, such as we've seen recently a Polaris, a Quintet, and a WNO. Like, they're not events that we're going to do massive previews of or play-by-plays of after. I think what we'll do is put our heads together after a few events and tell you who we think did the best in those events and who is on our list of great grapplers right now. We'll still be profiling, previewing, reviewing big events. Callum, I think after ADCC East Coast Trials on November 15 and 16, we should probably do a podcast after that. And all big ADCC Trials events heading up to the finals in 2026. Also, hopefully in summer 2026, we're going to get CGI 3. All we've seen so far is a post from Craig Jones where I think I'm right in saying the words CGI 3 funding secured. I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but that was the gist of the post, right? We saw those words?
Yep.
So hopefully summer 2026, we're going to get an ADCC and a CGI 3. Along the way, we'll keep previewing the ADCC events, and then anything else we'll probably put in the context of our list. So you've heard the first list. It's time to move on to list 2. I have 2 submissions by text from committee members. Callum doesn't do text unless ChatGPT is doing it for him. So he's going to give us his orally. Callum, let's try and keep to 5, although we extended it to 6 last time. So at number 5, who do you have?
At my number 5, I have someone that was not on the list last week, but someone that was mentioned. And I think maybe there's someone that was on someone else's list, but I've got Pawel Jaworski.
Okay.
So, reason being for that, most recently got a double gold at Black Belt Nogi Europeans. Prior to that, he won ADCC European Trials, and then prior to that, or in between those 2, he also got a gold and a bronze at Nogi Pan American. So he's breaking onto the scene. He's doing a lot of big things. Very exciting game. One of these guys people like to study. He's got a unique game and system around his false reap. So that's my reason for him at my number 5 spot.
Yeah, one of the other committee members voted for him, had him as high as number 2 on their list, saying, once again, the Polish phenom delivers, winning double gold at Nogi Euros. Yeah, he's been really impressive recently. You highlighted a couple of events, but I think he's been very active and pretty much winning.
CGI as well.
Yeah, and he tends to win. So he's had a great record recently. Not only does he tend to win, he tends to win by submission. I think highlighted here, gold and bronze at Nogi Pans, double gold at Nogi Euros, gold at ADCC Trials, good performance at CJI. All those accomplishments mean that event organizers should be chomping at the bit to get him in a match on their show. So it was said. Do you agree with all that?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So I think Pawel definitely has been performing very impressively of late, and I think it's definitely worth checking out his instructionals and any other online content you see from him, because I think he's at the forefront of the leg lock game right now. So definitely one to watch. Who have you got as 4?
Who was the other 5 spots of the other guys?
All right, that's a good way to do it as well. So one had Ono Flanagan, pretty much based off the most recent Polaris. I think he went 4-1 on the show, 4 subs. He's also, in recent time, did really well. I say recent time, but like over the last couple of years, done really well at ADCC, and also got a win at CGI. And for what we're looking for on this list, he's very visible. He's got his podcast that he does with Charles, the strength conditioning, etc. coach, and the Los Banditos platform on the channel there a lot, putting out a lot of content. So very visible, and yeah, great recent performance at Polaris. Did you enjoy the performance there?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Obviously Lucas has a lot of hype around him recently, especially in the leg lock department. And I know he definitely leg locked him the first time with that Aoki lock. I think he maybe leg locked him in the second match. Asterisk next to the fact that he had just had a match with Joseph Chen both times, and I think Owen said that on his own social media, as it's nice having matches against people that have just fought Joseph Chen and have got 1 health point on their stamina bar, but at the same time still very impressive. So I think that's fair putting him on the list.
Yeah, for me, he might just be sitting just below Pawel. So if we're going to arrive at a 5, Owen might just be a smidge below him right now, but like definitely there or thereabouts.
I think that's a good match as well.
Yeah, that would be a good match at under 88. Absolutely. Number 4, I'll tell you who a couple of guys had, and then I think you'll have this guy on your list somewhere. So one committee member had Mateusz Szczecinski number 4. One committee member had Mateusz Szczecinski number 5. Where are you thinking of having Mateusz on your list?
I've got Mateusz on 1.
Okay, good. So we'll come back to Mateusz, right? So he's definitely going to feature. I've got him quite high. Don't know if he'd be number 1 right now, but I'd have him quite high as well. So your number 4 would be who?
I've got Helena.
Okay. Yeah, I think Helena definitely deserves to stay on the list, and number 6 last time. So what's your reasoning for Helena?
Yeah, I mean, with all the guys that we had on or around about the list, she's been the most active since then. So, you need to give us a reason to keep speaking about you in the sport, and she's done that. So I think it's fair when she was in the conversations last time and she's continued to have success to bump her up to number 4.
Yeah, so one member had bumped her up as high as 3, and I'll just try and get the comments. Yeah, consistently dominating and winning matches. Even, well, they said she's the underdog, but I don't think she's been a massive dog in any match. But you could say that Adele would have been favourite going into it based on ADCC performance. And yeah, she's very active. We're also looking ahead. Do you have matches booked? I think Helena's got a match scheduled for December 5 on the next WNO. So we'll see her again. And yeah, she's even taken matches on smaller shows. Somebody else on Helena had her at 2 because it's another strong performance. She keeps up the comp schedule, and both people have said they'd love to see her against Fionn.
Yeah,
it's probably the match to make in the women's game, I think.
I think so. Yeah, you could make an argument they're the 2 biggest names in the sport just now.
Okay, so Helena's definitely going to be there or thereabouts because we've got votes for her being 2, 3, or 4. Who's your 3?
My 3, I've got Andrew Tackett. So last time I had him in my 2, and I think he was the consensus 2 as well. He's dropping down a space, not really through any fault of his own, but he's not competed since then. Obviously, he's on that UFC contract, so it's not necessarily up to him. I don't know to how far that extends, but he can't just go in certain competitions if he's under contract. He does have another match booked against Elijah Dorsey, so he is staying active. It's just bumping him down because he's not really had much going on, but he's still very much being pushed by the UFC media machine, so I think that still keeps him very relevant and on the list.
Yeah, it's definitely a good match, him against Elijah Dorsey. I think it's the next UFC BJJ. Do you have the date off the top of your head?
I have it up here somewhere. It is the 11th of December.
Yeah. Okay, so not too far away, so that's keeping him visible. Yeah, I think UFC BJJ should really base their cards around the Tackett brothers right now. I think far more interesting and exciting than Mikey. Don't actually know the status of Mikey with UFC BJJ. Saw some stuff that he might have reached the end of his original contract, so I'm not sure if that's true or not. Just saw that out there, but yeah, I think the Tacketts are really great grapplers to have in any promotion. Exciting matches and pretty visible. So yeah, and Andrew's strength of schedule's strong as well, which is something else we look for. So not just taking matches, but taking matches against good guys. So yeah, somebody had dropped Nicky Rod entirely off the list. I think we can come to that now. Nicky obviously was consensus number 1 on our first list, but has been pretty invisible since his heroics at CGI 2. So whether he's still featuring on your list, I don't know. Someone pardon?
He's not on my list now.
No. So that was because one guy had completely dropped him. They put Andrew as number 1 because Andrew's still out on the scene, got another match booked coming up. Nicky Rod's dropped, so they've got Andrew in at 1. Someone else didn't mention Andrew at all because they've he's not competed since the last list. So I think Nicky's an interesting one. What are you looking for from him going forward? Because I think he had that big moment and he was consensus top guy coming out of the event, but yeah, not really seen anything thereafter. And the next big heavyweight match that I'm aware of is Philippe Pena against Luke Griffith on December 5 for WNO. So again, no real idea what Nicky Rod's doing, although he does have the Simple Man gym and platform. So
yeah, I think obviously CGI was amazing. It was very entertaining. It was what everyone was speaking about, but it isn't anymore. I don't really think anyone's speaking about it. People have kind of moved on with what they're thinking about and looking at, and then he's got nothing else booked in the pipeline. So you could quite easily get a match booked, win that match, and go back up to the number 1 or 2 spot, given the things he's done previously and his current name value. But yeah, I just think people have kind of moved on in the community and are looking at different things, thinking about different things. He's not got anything in the pipeline, so I don't think people are thinking about him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Number 2 for you?
I've got Craig. Obviously not exactly grappling at the moment as a competitor, but I've got him up here for a couple reasons. Number 1, and most importantly, is what you mentioned earlier about him booking, well, not booking CGI3, but mentioning he's got the funding for it. It was a bit up in there whether he was going to do it again. He seemed a little bit drained with the process last time, but thankfully he is doing it because CGI 1 and 2 were 2 of the best jiu-jitsu events ever. So that's the main reason he's on the list. The other one is the controversy following him, as always, to do with the separation with B Team. So we're not really completely sure what's going on with that. He seems to have taken the brand name for his YouTube. He's left the gym. I'm sure more things will come out over time, but I think that keeps people speaking about Craig as well, and is another reason why I've got him high on the list.
My understanding of that whole situation, and I think it's from what Craig wrote about it and or commented on it, and I'm just going off memory here, so I could be slightly wrong, but Craig was basically like, in a divorce situation, assets get split up, and the gym, etc., has gone to the guys that are staying there, and he's come away and he's taken the B team channel and stuff as a part of the agreement to split. So I think it's all very amicable, but it does leave people talking, which is no bad thing. You know, it's pretty much how the Dallas Cowboys currently seem to be doing business. It's just like, well, we'll do something if it gets people talking. So, like, you know, it's a strategy. I don't think that's just a strategy. I just think there was like an agreement made to like split up what they'd created so far fairly amongst everyone. But yeah, Craig very visible. Yeah, interesting that you've gone to a couple other guys. The other committee members didn't mention him at all. I think like it says a lot that Craig is still as prominent as he is, despite not competing. And like you can, I look at that two ways. I'm like, well, one, that just shows like the strength of Craig within the jiu-jitsu world, and also it makes me think, why have people not stepped up, you know, and like got as big as he did, you know? Because like, if you look at Craig, like he had good competition wins, but he wasn't like at the very, very, very top, you know, hence the B team name. And yeah, he's done so well at like pushing himself forward, and then not only that, but creating things that like benefit the wider jiu-jitsu community, from CGI3 through to like the projects they're doing with like the Fair Fight Foundation, Guardian, etc. So I just think like people should use that as a bit of inspiration to like further their own careers.
Yeah, I think he took his brand and name value to the next level when he started playing the character that he does. Guys that have been in the community a bit longer and remember him from like B team pre-COVID knew he was like a funny guy, but he was also like a lot shyer. I think like in from what I've heard from people, his actual self, he is quite a shy and humble person, and that's kind of what came off before 2020. But he was still a massive name because, like you say, he hadn't won anything, but his jiu-jitsu was very exciting. That's something that I say to people, you know, it's like that's the benefit of having exciting jiu-jitsu. You don't even need to necessarily win a bunch of things. Craig speaks about this as well. There's guys that have won ADCC that haven't really gotten any name value or sold any DVDs. You want to have an exciting game like Mateusz that we'll speak about. He's another guy that's not won anything massive, but he's got such an exciting game. So that's another reason his name is so big. And then yeah, he's just taken it to another level with the character he's portrayed and what he's done for the jiu-jitsu community since retiring from competition. And there's such a stark contrast between the other previous biggest name in the sport, Gordon, who's just moaning on social media and speaking about politics as opposed to actually trying to help and progress the jiu-jitsu community. So good for Craig for doing that.
Yeah, just as we go for one, the person who decided to keep Nicky Rod at number one, like I agree with the fact that like if your previous achievements are so strong that you haven't done much recently, but they carry all that weight, then I think like I'm fine with people staying where they are or staying on the list or only dropping a little bit. But he said that Nicky Rod still like had the previous successes and then is still got the mix of marketability, his podcast, got the Simple Man Gym, and it's hard to put anyone above him in terms of star quality right now. So yeah, I think like Nicky Rod is like one of the stars in the sport right now. Does he remain in top 5? Find out in a bit. We're going to hear Callum's choice for number 1, which he's already said is going to be Mateusz Szczecinski. Please elaborate.
Okay, so Mateusz, I'm not seen too much of him recently. He came off of a bicep tear injury, I believe, and then came back with a vengeance at Polaris. I think he has established himself as maybe, well, I think he's very much the GOAT of the Polaris specific teams format. I think he's established himself from this performance and the performance before. Both of them were incredible. Tons of submissions, tons of points on the board for his team. Team formats in general, I think he's in the conversation as like the best guy or the most valuable guy ever, along with Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan, who have also had incredible performances. But, you know, it's the most recent big competition, I think, the Polaris, and I'll pull up a little thing with some statistics on it of his performance. So as you can see here, he had 9 fights, 8 wins, 5 submissions. So he cost his team 1 point, and then he must have gained, counting that up, so you get 2 points for a submission within your weight class, so that's 10 points. A couple of those were in a higher weight class opponent, that's more than 10 points, and another 3 wins. So he got probably like 15 plus points on the board for his team while only losing a point. 88% win rate, 63% submission rate. So incredible performance from him. And yeah, that's why he's at my number 1. Like I spoke about a second ago, very exciting guy to watch. For this rule set, one of the most valuable guys to get on your team.
On the Polaris event, I think on the one hand, I love events that come down to a dramatic conclusion that are very close throughout. But on the other hand, blowouts are great when you get to see like the absolute skill of certain players or certain teams come through. And I thought that's what happened at Polaris at the weekend. Like a complete blowout, Europe beating Asia. But it's ace to see those little 5-minute matches because guys really go for it. And it does seem that like they give it a good go, and it's like winning or losing that 5-minute battle is not like the biggest deal in the world relative to like winning an ADCC or CGI. So I think guys are happy to go out and try and put it on the line. And if they lose like their individual battle, they think, well, that's okay, I'm going to get another shot, or it's in the context of the team event, so that's fine. But yeah, the blowout allowed again to see Mateusz take on like 5 matches in a row, I think it was. Yeah, awesome to see. And yeah, interesting to see that team. Like that shows the strength of Team Europe. If that Team Europe had been in CGI 2, how do you think they would have done?
I was going to say that because obviously Atos versus Europe went to a draw in the sense that there was no submissions, and then it went to whoever was most dominant in the matches. But literally just add Mateusz in there. They could have won just off of that. Mateusz could have easily subbed 1 or 2 of those guys. But yeah, stronger team in general. I think the best team Europe could put out definitely could have beaten that Atos team.
Okay. Right. Why don't you put our lovely faces back up big so everyone can see that? And there's 2 guys I want to have a little chat about that our other committee members have suggested, and we can get your thoughts why you haven't picked them. So first one's Declan Moody, who had an awesome performance at the Who's Number 1 Grand Prix, winning the open weight event. He's someone who's like impressed a lot recently, really come on in recent time. Not just in his competition performance, where his passing in particular has really stood out, but he's also got his White Monster podcast, etc. So he's a lot more visible. What do you think of Declan's performance? How do you think he's been getting on recently? And maybe why didn't he make the cut for you?
Yeah, I think his performance at Who's Number 1 was really good. Had Dante in the final, ended up being a pretty close match, despite the weight discrepancy. So good on Dante for that as well. But yeah, he is definitely an up-and-coming name. Been on the scene for a while, but he's definitely coming into his own. Coming off the back of some good matches from him at CGI as well. So can totally understand him being on the list. Just for me, I think the guys on my lists have more impressive wins, more impressive achievements, and didn't think of him quite as much.
Okay. Joe Chen?
Yeah, I think the reasoning for having him on the list would be coming off of being on the team that won CGI and then decent performance at Polaris as well. He was probably the 2nd most valuable player on Europe, either him or Owen O'Flanagan. But yeah, I think I just wanted to pick one guy from the Polaris squads and not totally flood my pickings with guys that had done well in that event, and Mateusz stood out above everyone else on that for me, so that's why I picked him.
Okay, good. Let's get to the conclusion. I am the arbiter of the final list, taking all the considerations from my colleagues on the committee into it. But someone has to be chairman, and because this whole thing was my idea, I've decided that's me. Okay, so let's talk about just missing the list. Right, I think just outside the categories, or the category of being on the list, is going to be Ono Flanagan, Declan Moody, and Joseph Chen. So they're all like right there, and like another impressive performance from them. And I think they can make the jump, right? But for right now, I'm just going to leave them sitting just off the list. There were some votes from the committee for them. Any vote they received was like outside their top. Well, no, it would be like 3 would be the highest any of them were voted for, right? So no one's got them in 1, 2. So, but yeah, I think they're there or thereabouts.
There'll be one other person left off the list. There'll be one other person left off the list, but then I've got 5 guys that you didn't mention just there. Then there's also Nicky Rod. So is Nicky Rod off the list, or is one?
Hold on, get to that. So like Owen, Declan, Joe Chen, that's 7, 8, 9, right? Off the list entirely. Kenta, who was really like flavor of the month coming out of like the last CGI2, like he was awesome, but like really seen nothing since. And Victor Hugo, again, not seen anything since. So they're like your probably 10, 11 guys, right? Still like simmering away, right? We're ready to like put them back on if they do something impressive. Them getting back on's a lot easier than someone who hasn't featured thus far. That all said, not really seen enough since our last chat, right? Fair?
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking at like they're kind of like figuratively 10, 11. Owen to Joe Chen's kind of with Declan 7, 8, 9. Right. I'd like a top 5. I'm going top 6 again. I'm putting Nicky Rod 6. Drops from his number 1 spot. Is outside our top 5, which is what we're shooting for. We had 6 last time. I'm going to put Nicky Rod in at 6. One of the committee members said keep him at number 1 because he's still such a big star. I think it's fair that we recognize that and have him still involved. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Right. And then number 5, I'm going Craig Jones. Still a big deal. Obviously not competed since, did he even compete at the last CGI2? It was more of an exhibition, but yeah, still a big deal in the sport. Callum, you had him as high as 2. I'd like to see him like, to be that high on my list, I'd like to see him like compete or do something. But yeah, that announcement at CGI3 is huge. He's doing great work. He's still visible. So Craig's still on the list, but I'm going 5. Number 4, Pawel Jaworski, for all the things we talked about before. And one committee member had him as high as 2. So yeah, he definitely deserves to be on the list. And I think we'll see him again soon, right? He's very active right now. Number 3, dropping 1 spot for me, Andrew Tackett. You made a good case for him being number 3. One of the other committee members made a good case for him going to number 1. I'm going to have him at 3, and then I'm going to put Helena at 2. I think there's a toss-up between Helena and Andrew as for whether we go 2, 3, but Helena's been busier, so I think she should get rewarded with the number 2 slot. And then I'll agree. Let's put Mateusz Szczecinski number 1. I think he, coming out of that event, was like the name everyone was talking about. And I think everyone's going to be super excited to see what he does going forward. I think there's probably like the most amount of buzz around him right now. If you compare Mateusz to Helena, Andrew Tackett, Pawel, Craig, Nicky Rod, I think people are like, oh, what's Mateusz doing next? I want to see Mateusz. So I think that's a fair shout for number 1, but he needs to follow it up. Otherwise, like, you know, he probably doesn't have enough stock behind him to just retain that number 1 if he does nothing between now and the next time we chat. Whereas I think Nicky Rod carried a lot more into like that first list that we made. But that's the second OP. Get into the comments. Let us know what you think. Where are we right? Where are we wrong? What do you agree or disagree with? And then events-wise, Callum, a couple of things coming up that we've chatted about in the pod. I know you're also excited about seeing Owen Jones against Mehran Manik at BJJ Stars on the 22nd of November. I have a few other big names on that event. But probably the next Oracle will involve East Coast Trials, which is on the 15th and 16th of November. Let's see who signs up and who does what. Might do a little preview on a review, or might be like a list that's heavily influenced by what happens there. But like, subscribe, follow, let us know what you want from us, and you'll see it when we put it out. And everything, what do you think, Callum? Do we commit at this stage? Keep it going till like summer 26, where we get in CGI 3.
Sounds good.
Keep on the journey with us, guys. We'll be back soon.